Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mahdi Tijani back with you. Social media hate. How to develop an iron mind. I've been repeatedly asked this question, and I've done a video on it in the past. I'll put it up in the cards here on how to develop mental toughness in general. But this video is going to be specific towards dealing with social media hate. Now, I've had my fair share of social media hate. Anybody who's got a YouTube channel or a social media channel of some sort and has said anything even remotely controversial would have experienced what I'm about to talk about. But I think people are surprised with how I deal or how I react or my lack of reaction to negativity. So I'm going to talk about that today. I'm going to be disseminating and dissecting the best way to react to social media hate. The best way, the way that gives you the most leverage on those individuals who are trying to tear you down. So we need to establish some basic foundational principles first. Firstly and foremostly, I'm going to refer to my notes because I wanted to really get this video good and proper today. You must never, ever pander to your audience. That includes your fans or people who are rooting for you, people who agree with your narrative for the most part or even completely. Don't pander to them. Definitely don't pander to your audience of haters, but don't also pander to the audience who support you. Let me tell you why. People who support you, you will be more inclined to fluff your message or pander your message the moment that they say something that is no longer supportive. So they've been supporting you for the past 2, 3, 4 months. You see them in the comments and then one day they say, oh, you know what? You shouldn't have said that. You should have said this. And you feel bad. You feel like, hold on, I'm losing their support. Loss aversion kicks in straight away. You don't want to lose anything. Humans have an innate disdain for losing. And we don't want to lose the support you've already gained. You must understand that in this game, when you're on social media and you're spouting views that are perceived as even remotely controversial, that you will win some and you will lose some, but you can never, ever pander to the audience. This is why I spend very little time in the comment section. And I'm very cautious of who I take my advice from. As a general principle, never, ever take advice from someone you are not willing to trade places with. Never. Now, even those individuals who support you, unless you know them personally, you must be cautious as to what advice you take from them, because they may have their own motives as to why they're supporting you. Many of the videos I make could be perceived, if you're on that side of the fence, as woman hating, as misogynistic. These labels have been thrown at me time and again. And I am well aware that the nature of my message will attract men who have been severely hurt by women. And as a result of that, they want to yeah, go get him. Get him, Mahdi, you tell him. I'm well aware of that. RP in general tends to attract those type of men because it provides some sort of outlet, some sort of release from all the angst and anger that they feel. So I'm aware of that. So I take with a pinch of salt the hate and the compliments that I receive, because they can recede as quickly as they come. Those who support you can leave as quickly as they came. And those who hate you can eventually become your supporters one day as well. So never, ever temper your message or pander to your audience in order to please them. The moment you start creating content that you think will be pleasing to the audience, and as a result of that, you change the message in order to please the audience, that's when you are finished. You're finished. You're no longer authentic. You're no longer yourself. And people can see through it. People have strong BS detectors, very strong BS detectors. They can tell when you're pandering to them. So resist that natural urge to want to pander to the audience, for better or for worse, to temper your message, bring the temperature down a little bit because you're getting sick of the negativity, the hatred, or to say other things that you feel may be that will make your supporters happy. Don't do that. Only speak what you believe to be the truth, and that's it, for better or for worse. That's the first point. The second point, this is super important. If you think you've made a mistake, apologizing for it only makes it worse. I will say it one more time. If you think you've made a mistake, apologizing for it will only make it worse. The only time you should consider or you should think about correcting yourself on a mistake that you've made is if you've said something that is in direct opposition to the deen, to the sharia, to our religion. Like it's a clear haram. In that instance, yeah, you need to own that. Aside from that, if you think you've made a mistake of some sort and it's a grey area or whatever, apologizing for it only makes it worse. And you can see this with the T3M controversy that happened a few days ago. For those of you who are aware, I did a podcast with the 3 Muslims, and one of the brothers on the podcast, well, it's well known now, Rami, he decided to take it down for whatever reason, and he put videos on TikTok first defending me, and then he made another video afterwards saying that he was misguided for having had me on the podcast and so on. Now, I don't know, I had a conversation with Rami afterwards, to clear the air, and it was clear to me that he was under a lot of pressure. He was under a lot of pressure, and this is probably the first time he's faced this much pressure from the mob online, the online mob. But I hope he could learn from this experience that pandering to the audience only made it worse for him. Because the moment he released the second video of, telling the audience I was misguided for bringing Mahdi on, and we should never have brought him on, and then removing the podcast that they did with me, the moment that they done that, the mob went for the jugular. They went for the jugular. Instead of saying, you know what, Rami, I respect that, thank you very much, we appreciate that, thank you. No, what they did was, we want more. We want more. You need to apologize more. You need to remove Brother Gabriel's videos. You need to remove Abu American's videos. You need to. People, even the most passive people, the most laid back, relaxed people, the moment they smell blood, they turn into bloodthirsty lions, and they will come for the jugular. They will come for the jugular. And I quote this example, not to bash Rami at all, because even though he did what he did, I don't take it personally. This is the game. The social media is what it is. But to highlight a recent example that you can learn from, that when you do apologize, you only make it worse. You only make it worse. It's like a scab, okay? And Robert Greene talks about this. It's like a scab. If left alone, this scab on your leg or on your arm or wherever it may be, it might be itchy. It might be annoying, it might be a nuisance, but if you leave it alone, eventually it will heal. But if you give in to the itch, if you are unable to resist the temptation to scratch it, what happens? The moment you scratch that scab, the scab opens and it bleeds and pus oozes out, and the scab gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and maybe even it becomes infected. And God forbid, worst case scenario, you might even have to cut off a limb. And all of that, if you had just simply left the scab alone, it would have healed on its own. If you had left the scab alone, it would have healed on its own. Never, ever apologize. Never. Unless you have committed a clear-cut haram. Clear-cut haram. Aside from that, never apologize. Never, ever apologize. Okay. Point number 3. You must be Marmite. That's my neighbors. You must be Marmite. Don't be a coward and fluff your views to appease the audience. Marmite, if you've ever tried it, it's a spread that were a yeast extract, basically. It's a British spread. I love Marmite personally. But Marmite, you either love it or you hate it. It's got a very strong, bitter taste. And you either love it or you hate it. Generally speaking, if you weren't brought up on it, then you're not going to like it. You must be Marmite. You must have the confidence to stand in your position confidently and preach whatever it is that you believe in, and to not be affected by the mob. And you have to accept that you are going to be Marmite. You are going to be loved or you're going to be hated. There's nothing in between. There will be no people who will have some type of ambivalence towards you. The moment you decide to take a stand, to take a position, there will be nobody who has ambivalence towards you. They will love you or they will hate you. But there's nothing in between. And if you are not Marmite, you're not doing anything. You're vanilla. If you're not Marmite, you're vanilla. Yeah, it's nice. Nothing to shout about though. Don't be vanilla. Be Marmite. And on that point, even the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he first came out giving da'wah, they were persecuted and tortured and so on. That's Marmite. The deen inherently is Marmite. When you preach Tawheed, what you are telling people is, we are right, Allah is the only God, and all your false ilahs, they are nothing. They are wrong. That's Marmite. This is right and that is wrong. When you do that and you take that position, immediately, you will be loved or hated. Accept it. Stop pandering. Stop trying to be liked by everyone. Stop it. Stop it. You will not be liked by everyone. In fact, you will be liked by no one. You will either be hated or loved. And that's okay. That's the way it was always meant to be. That's how you know you're doing something right. Accept it. It is what it is. Or get offline and don't bother producing any content. Be a nobody. Be vanilla. Okay. The next point. Very important. Let the first moment pass. Wait for the second. I'll say it again. Let the first moment pass. Wait for the second. You may find one day that someone's made a video about you or duetted you, as I do reaction videos of other influencers and content creators. And maybe they have said things that were displeasing to you. Maybe, in fact, they were downright rude, insulting. They completely crossed the line. They are baiting you into a reaction. Let the first moment pass. Wait for the second. The first moment, you are going to feel enraged. Straight away, you're going to feel so angry. Oh, I want to write this comment. Oh, I want to do this. Don't do anything. In that moment right there, resist the temptation to do anything. To do anything at all. Take your phone away from you. Put it away, switch it off. If you're having a disagreement with your wife, with your spouse, maybe your parents have said something to you, stay silent. I am telling you, nothing you say in that moment is going to be productive or beneficial. Nothing at all. In fact, there will be something and probably many things that you deeply regret afterwards. Why? Because you are clouded with the intoxicant of anger. And anger is an intoxicant. You're infuriated. You're upset. You're hurt. Do nothing. Let the first moment pass. Wait for the second. And the second moment doesn't come until a few hours later. A few hours later, the second moment will finally come about, whereby you're in your right state of mind. You can think more clearly. And now you can take an action if needs be. And you will find 99% of the time that no action is the best action. You can't even be asked. You can't be bothered. You can't be bothered because that initial impulse that drove you to want to do something in the first place has passed. It's gone. And if you had acted upon that impulse, you probably would have made a fool of yourself. You probably would have made a fool of yourself because any action taken hurriedly, taken under the effects of the intoxication of anger and emotion in general, is an action that will be a regrettable one. Is an action that will be a regrettable one. Okay. Number 6. The mark of a strong man is that he can stand confidently upon his position that he stands for, whilst under immense pressure. That's the mark of a strong man. That you can stand confidently on your square, on your circle, whilst under immense pressure and not budge one bit. No chink in the armor. Nothing. Solid, firm, stoic, emotionless. Emotionless. Totally emotionless. That's the mark of a strong man. That you can stand on that position and be completely unaffected. Completely unaffected. Now, you're a human. You might feel something on the inside. You're a human being. You're not a robot. It might have upset you initially in the moment. You might have become upset. You read something online or you saw a video about so-and-so that said something about you. That's okay to get upset on the inside, but don't express it. Don't show it. And you sure as hell shouldn't act upon it. That's the mark of a strong man. And 100% you should not bend or break or retreat because of the pressure that you've now been put under from the online mob. 100% you should not do that. Because if you do that, then this is a mark of your weakness. And finally, the 7th point, I'm not going to be sharing it here on YouTube because there's too many individuals who watch me, who are trying to learn from me so that they can use my tactics and my strategies against me. You see, people don't realize that I have ways of building a painting, a portrait of people, particularly those who dislike me or speak ill of me. And I'm amassing so much beautiful information about them. But I don't want them to know how I do it. And this seventh final point, which is the most important point of the lot, will be on my Patreon. I'll put the link in the description. I've created a separate video discussing the seventh and final point, which is the most important in the art of strategy. When it comes to strategizing your social media content, when it comes to strategizing how to deal with your haters, when it comes to wanting to gain the upper hand, to constantly be 5 steps ahead. This is not for YouTube, this is on Patreon. Look at the link in the description, you can find me there. Jazakumullah khair. If you found value in the video, hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
نار نار سنفجرها برصاصنا نمحوها العار مهلا يا